All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started because if you're like me, I know a lot of you are looking forward to going to lunch later.
Yes.
Let's hop right in. Here's the reality. We have more ESOL students in our school than we ever have. I think the numbers you shared more in the county than we've ever had. Numbers are exploding like crazy. And some of the students that we are getting, literally zero English. Praise the Lord for Google Translate because it is how some of us are surviving right now. So I just wanted to have this as kind of a collaborative space where we can just share what tools we're using to try to help our ESOL students be as, to just ease their transition into our schools, because Lord knows they have enough other stuff going on, whether it be, legislative issues, family fears, running from things in their home countries, whatever it may be. And we want this to be a safe space. If Miss Lofton was in here, she would tell you that she's already had some ESOL parents call her crying because of things that are going on in the world that's affecting our ESOL kids. And so we need to do whatever we can to let them know that they are loved, they're provided for, in Loco Parentis, that we are going to take care of them and love on them like we would our own children. So I will say that life has gotten much better here, not to throw shade at any other ESOL teachers that we've had in the past, but Esther, you are a blessing to our school. You're doing phenomenal. Thank you. But I know there is so much creativity in our building that I just wanted to have the opportunity to see who's using what. So I'm going to show you a few tools that some you may have heard of, some you may not have. And then it'll just kind of be a few minutes or however long we're in here of open forum for you to say, hey, here's what I'm using in my classroom. Here's some tools I've heard about. And we'll just kind of make a repository of those so that we can share them out. All right? So anybody know Babel fish? Any Douglas Adams fans? Anybody ever read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't know the Babel fish, when you're doing interstellar travel, it's a little fish you put in your ear and it will magically translate any language for you.
When you said Babel fish, I thought you meant Babel, P-H-I.
Oh, hey, although my boys, fish, if you don't know, you probably haven't talked to me for more than 2 minutes. Because if you talk to me for more than 2 minutes, I love Jesus, I love my family, and my favorite band is Fish, and Fish just got nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So.
All right.
So here are 5 tools outside of the standard like Google Translate, integrated Google tools that you may find useful for helping your ESOL students. Some of these we've used with our kids. Some of them we haven't yet, but I'm looking forward to. First one is Google Lens. Google Lens does have to be on a smartphone, but a lot of our kids carry these around with them. If you have just the native Google app, you can open up your phone real quick if you have it with you. So if you have the Google app, you can click, and you will see there's a little camera on the right-hand side of the search bar. If you click that, it brings up Google Lens. There's a translate button. And you're like, cool, Neely, Google Translate, we can translate anything. The nice thing is this will do posters, this will do pictures. If you do carousels around your classroom where they need to give feedback on other students' work, it will translate in real time. It is an absolutely free tool. So think about those times that maybe you've been doing carousel work or you've been doing peer feedback or you're doing propaganda posters or whatever you're doing, and your ESOL students just kind of sit there looking confused. They can just take their phone, hold it up, and it'll instantly translate for them. And I also know that we have an 8th grade student who speaks Hindi now. Hindi is in there as well. So if the language is in Google Translate, then it's also in Google Lens. So 100% free tool. Next one, you all know, I'm a ChatGPT guy. I'm definitely a firm believer that we can use it as a consultant. It is not meant to replace us. It's meant to enrich what we do so that we can spend more time with our kids, giving them face time. But streamlines differentiation, modifications, accommodations, all that wonderful stuff where we don't have to put as much time and effort and brain power into it. But we can also do the same thing for ChatGPT. If you are working on a topic in your class, you can ask ChatGPT to take on the identity of an ESOL teacher who is helping students navigate this content, put in what the content is, what the major points are. It'll automatically generate and basically become like an online tutor to them. Nice thing, if they have the phone, the app on the phone, they can actually talk to it and it will talk back to them. And so they can actually have conversations with their phone in their native language. They can also practice English, and it will give them feedback on inflection, pronunciation, and all of that can be done within ChatGPT, okay? Suno. Gotta give props to Hutch for showing me the tool Suno. Has anybody in here ever heard of Suno before? Okay, we got 1, 2. Suno will make AI songs for you about anything. But you can also ask it to do so in different languages.
Yeah, that's cool.
So let me show you a quick example of this.
It's kind of creepy, to be honest.
A little bit. It's also a free tool. You can do, I think, up to 10 songs a day for free. If you want to extend beyond that, then you can pay for more if you want your songs to be longer. What we've used this for in my classroom is coming up with review songs. So let's say somebody, all right, Miss Carter.
Yeah, buddy.
Tell me, first of all, tell me a topic that your students are covering in class.
Electricity and magnetism.
Okay, so create a song for 8th grade science class on electricity and magnetism in Spanish. All right, in this style of, somebody give me a band or a genre.
One more.
Okay, so
Go ahead and add.
West Coast hip hop. Because if you try to put a specific person in, they're like, sorry, copyright says we can't copy that. So, or genre. Okay, any like key terms you wanted to make sure that it uses?
Electromagnets, motors, generators.
Use the terms electromagnets, generators. What was the last one?
Motors.
Okay, and then just going to click create. By default, it generates 2 different versions just because you may not like the first version. It also will give you all the lyrics. You can link to this for your students. And so it's just generated. Notice that I asked it to do it in Spanish. So let's see what it came up with. Oh, it's still loading it. I had to generate ones earlier on why it's important to do to practice English language learning skills in the classroom.
En el aula de ciencia aprendes hoy la magia del campo y del electrón. Miles y cobre en un solo lugar.
So we know what it's saying.
So you can ask it to make an English and a Spanish version. You can ask it to make a Russian version.
That's cool.
So
Change.
let's change Spanish to English so we can hear. I think if you do the paid version, you can do multiple languages at once, or you can actually say, it's kind of like ChatGPT, it's going to respond to the prompt that you put in. So you could actually ask it to make the first verse in English, the second verse in Spanish, but make the second verse the exact same verbatim as the first. So it's on how you coach it. But here is, let's just try that real quick. So West Coast hip hop.
Can you print the lyrics?
Yes, you can.
You're almost rock here.
Yes. Okay, so we'll try it again. We'll do an indie rock one. So make an indie rock song about give me somebody in Georgia history.
Let's do the Leo Frank case.
About the Leo Frank case in Georgia. Any key things you want?
Let's do anti-Semitism. Knights of Mary Pagan.
Knights of what?
Mary Pagan.
Is that Knight or?
Yes, sir.
That's why I grew up in Tennessee, y'all. I don't know. Mary, how you spell Fagan?
P-H-A.
P-H, I like it already. What?
G-A-N.
Okay. Make verse 1 and chorus 1 in English. Repeat verbatim for verse 2, chorus 2 in Spanish. Generating it. Takes a second. Think about all that time that we used to spend coming up with review songs. Ms. Chisholm, I know you're the queen of review songs. Not trying to put you out of business. All right, so here we go. The Trial Shadow is the name of the song. Notice over here the lyrics. It did exactly what I asked. Verse 1, chorus 1 are in English. Verse 2, chorus 2 are in Spanish. I asked it to make it verbatim. If Miss Lofton was in here, she could verify it. Let's check it out real quick. A little clean to the Stone Age-ish.
Leo Frank faced the southern rage, accusing Georgia's darkest page. They pointed fingers, blind with fear, anti-Semitism loud and clear. Knights of Mary Pagan march, injustice rooted deep, hatred like a poison dart.
So we'll like it into verse 2.
The southern rage,
I skipped it.
señalaron con miedo ciego, antisemitismo alto y claro.
So there's another tool that you can use. We've used that in our class for like geography reviews. It's told kids if you're struggling to find things on the map, listen to this song over and over and over again. So that makes 3 tools so far: Google Lens, ChatGPT, Suno. The last 2 you may not have heard of. One of them will blow your mind and will make you very scared, okay? I'm just telling you, AI either makes you really, really excited or have existential dread. I think the healthy place is in the middle. There's a tool called HeyGen. Has anybody in here heard of or used HeyGen before? Okay. So HeyGen creates digital avatars. And what that means is you can either have it generate a computer image of someone who does not exist, or what you can do is do a 30-second video, and it'll have you turn your head left, turn your head right, things like that, and it will scan you as an avatar. You can then upload a script to it, and it will read it for you. It will also do so in any language. So Julie Shaw first showed this to me. She sent me a video on her phone, and it was in Japanese. And I asked her, I was like, you've been doing Duolingo? She was like, first of all, that's not me. I never made that video. Second of all, I can't even say anything beyond like konnichiwa, but the entire video was in Japanese. So one thing, I've only made one video on here. The free one is going to be limited to like, I think a 3-minute video. It's going to be watermarked. But I talk with my hands a lot. My students make fun of me. It's like if my hands were bound, I wouldn't be able to speak anymore. But because when it's designing your avatar, it's going to replicate what it sees you doing. And so I would suggest keeping your hands down, because there will be times that you're making hand gestures that don't necessarily line up with what you're saying. So this is a quick and dirty, like minute-long video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I never actually recorded this video. I never actually said any of these things. All I did was put a script in.
Was born out of the chaos of the Crusades. In 1299, a man named Osman began raiding the Byzantines. His followers became known as Ottomans, marking the start of a powerful empire. Over the centuries, the Ottoman Empire grew and had both terrible and great leaders. One of them.
So that one's obviously a little monotone. I didn't take time to regenerate, but you can tell it, I want this video translated into Spanish, and it will look like you're speaking Spanish, or it'll look like you're speaking Portuguese, or it'll look like you're speaking French or whatever. So if you're like, hey, interacting with AI and stuff is fine, but I want my students to still be seeing me, you can make short review videos of you, them seeing you, but they would hear you in their native language. Yeah. Frightening, but cool. If you want to pay for the extended version, you can, I think $20 a month, you can make videos up to like 8 or 10 minutes. For the free one, it's like 3-minute videos. But if you're just doing, hey, here's a quick review, or sending a message out to parents and or something, just, hey, I want you to hear this from me, blah, blah, and it's all right there. So the last tool I'm going to show you is one called Boodlebox. And Boodlebox is a lot like ChatGPT in that it is an AI engine. It's a generative AI, but you can create your own bots within it. So you can actually upload your class syllabus. You can upload individual assignments. You can upload documents into it, and then tell it to become a tutor for English language learners. And you can just give it the characteristics of your students. Obviously, always depersonalize. Don't put students' actual names in there. Don't give any kind of identifying information, but broad general descriptions of your students. And you can create one-on-one tutors for them, for your class in Boodlebox. I don't have my account set up through here. It's set up through my wife's account because UTC pays for it. But it's a really cool tool. So if you have, student who, just think we have an example, we have a student who has very minimal English. Not only are they an English language learner, but they are also dyslexic. We could actually use Boodlebox to set up a virtual tutor for them based off of those characteristics. And it would take whatever you're doing in your class and can accommodate them and give them back and forth coaching, so they can actually have conversations with this bot as a digital tutor as part of your classroom. So those are a few tools that I'm aware of beyond just the standard Google package. And so this is part of the program where I just wanted to open up and see and hear, what are you using? Are there any tools that you think might be beneficial that you think we should try out in our classes?
The one thing that so I translate my lessons and my work and all that stuff, but I knew that the one gap that the students had is when I give direct instruction, because you can't replace direct instruction,
Yes.
especially with a subject that they've never been introduced to ever. And so I ordered the earpieces from the TikTok shop, and so they were like $15, and I thought, you know what, worst case scenario, I'm out $15. And so it's not foolproof, but it definitely helps. And so I have 2 girls, and they just each share the same, like one half of each earpiece, and it does connect to an app on my phone. And so you could use other earpieces, but I like that this is designated for that. They know when I get them out, they take them and put them on. And so while I'm teaching, I just open the app, and it is Bluetooth to those earpieces. And so when I talk, now they're just slow down, that's the hard part for me.
I was going to ask if there's any kind of lag.
Yes and no. Sometimes the internet causes some lag, like just itself, and I have to look down and I notice that it's like stopped. But no, like I can go and it will just, it'll keep going, and then when I I like take a breath, it'll catch it up. So they might be slightly delayed behind me,
Okay.
but not significantly. So I try to slow down when I can force myself to. But it ends up translating, and so I like it because I feel like it's a way to bridge that gap of them getting that direct instruction from me. And then when they go to work, then they usually will just take them off if they're working independently. And they are very receptive to it. That's also what's very helpful is that these students really, like, they appreciate the effort, and so that's helpful. So, but yeah, I feel like it's helping some. And so.
Would you be willing to send out the link to the ones that you use?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
also there's an app, and I'm sure the app could link to something else, other earbuds, but either way, it would still have to be linked to my phone. So I just like having control of the earbuds I'm giving them.
Yes.
So linking something that belongs to me instead of something that belongs to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what really excites me and interests me about that is the price. You said they were only like $15.
Yeah, and for
Okay.
$15, I'm able, because technically I think it's supposed to be, in a perfect world, like if we were having a conversation with each
You
other.
share,
I don't
yeah.
need that. I need them.
Because I know that's what some of the Pixel phones are trying to do now. That
Yeah.
they're having it where you could, but it's like $250 for those
I just need
earpieces.
them to be able to get my instruction.
Yeah.
And because there's one, so two girls sit beside each other, they just have all, so really one set covers two kids. So that's super helpful. Now, I have not tried doing if I have more than one set of them in my classroom. I haven't, because I haven't had a need
Yeah.
this year. And so, yes, but then, and the app is really, like I said, it's a good one. It does keep off the internet sometimes, and I have to be, check on that or whatever. But they put them on, and I say, is it working? And, they'll let me know that it's working because they can hear it. And so, and I've even seen, like, if I'm playing a short video, I just put my phone near it, and so it will translate the video for them as well.
Awesome.
And so you just be careful if you forget it's on and you're having a side conversation. It
Because
doesn't
it'll
pick up, And again, it's not perfect, but it's the one thing I felt like I need to bridge that gap of how do I get them direct instruction? Because I thought that's the most irreplaceable asset that you can give them.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's what tech and what AI has been pursuing is to replicate the Babel fish from Hitchhiker's Guide. And I've heard of some of those earpieces and apps that'll do it, but most of them have been significantly more expensive than $15.
And
So
they
that's
don't go
why.
in their ears, which is nice too. So
Yeah.
we're not dealing with anything that's like just gross,
Yeah.
to be honest. And so it just goes outside. Anything in ears is just.
Yeah, please send a link and we'll
Yeah.
make sure that gets out. Awesome, thank you. Anybody else have any other tools or resources that you've been using? Sir?
So me and Miss Hanser, we found a way to translate on the kids' computers whatever they're seeing on their tab. And me and Esther, we've used it, and I showed her, and it kind of works, especially for if you've got like Google Forms, or even if you're doing research on a website. If you can, I don't know if yours has it, Dr. Neely, or not, but the three little snowman next to your face.
Yep.
Click on that, and then you'll scroll down to translate, and you can click it. Now, this is not foolproof. It doesn't work for every website, but you just click it over to Spanish. So like for me, for instance, given tests, it automatically translates it right then and there into their native language. And you might have to go to a different website because I know it does not work with Classroom.
Let's see.
But all right, so right there, go ahead and go back to the translate. And anything that's on this tab that it can go ahead and translate, it'll do it right then and there.
Excellent.
You can even print from that screen right there, and it goes ahead and keeps it in Spanish. I will say every now and then it may revert it back to English. You just have to redo the process. But it's something that I've used. April's used it as well. Even when we're giving tests on like peer assignment and Google Forms, it'll go ahead and translate everything there. The only thing it will not translate that it has a hard time with is the pictures that are on the screen. So it's something we use.
Like docs or slides,
Yeah, docs, slides.
but it will translate forms.
It'll do some documents as well. It'll do slides as long as nothing's been copied and pasted in from a picture, but it'll go ahead and translate everything that it can.
Excellent.
And that's on the
does it do
kids' computers
PDFs,
already.
do you know?
For PDFs, I've used Canva
Yeah.
to translate. It'll catch some PDFs. It's iffy. That's also already on most of the kids' computers. If not, all you have to do is just take it to Dr. Reed, and she can make sure and upload Google Translate inside the computers, and then that option will be available for the kids.
Excellent. Thanks. All right.
Can I ask a question about that? Because like, we'll just say if I had posters like breakfast based stuff was going on. Yeah, you've been a fantastic resource. Thank you so much for helping us. So we'll just say I just sent her this is my Canva and poster. I mean, even if I translated it, I don't know Spanish to know did it translate it right. You know what I'm saying? So do we still need to be like, hey, listen to you just to double check that before I print it and put it all up at the school? Or what's our procedure with that?
So,
How do I know if it's translated right?
one of the things that I've done, I'm not speaking to procedure as far as posters, but I have used ChatGPT, and if you have a digital image of it, you can actually upload it in ChatGPT and ask it to give you a verbatim translation to English of all the text that is on the poster. And so that's one way that I look to see on some documents. But as far as what policies, procedures are, I think that's going to be an admin question.
I'm gonna make a side note. So since Dr. Neely's already used how I told him to use like translate 2 or 3 times already, so in the search bar, it'll go ahead and right there next to the star where you favorite your tab, it automatically goes ahead and puts the translate right there as well. So now on any website, you can just click the button, not have to do the 3 steps every time.
I have tried like the translation through Google Translate and the translate through Canva seem to be, like the translation comes out exactly the same. So I think Canva may be using Google Translate's.
Using that engine.
Yeah. And I don't know Spanish, so I can't double check anything. But I have heard that the AI, like ChatGPT, does better translation than Google Translate, and Leanne likes DeepL. But on DeepL, there's like a lot of stuff that's not free.
But I have it on my phone and it just sounds less robotic when you speak into it and use it to translate with your.
So what is that called?
DeepL.
Also, DeepL has a write, like you can swap between translate and write. So if you're trying to say something in Spanish to kids and you want to make sure that what you're saying makes sense, you can type what you want to say and then, or speak what you want to say and then improve text and it'll correct the Spanish grammar.
Excellent. I add that to resources.
I sometimes will throw it in the opposite to see what it translates back. Because what I have found with science terms is that it, depending on its mood, it will translate it to a different word that is incorrect. And so I also, if I want to know correct, like for example, chops for waves, it will translate it different ways, like as a valley or a canal. And so what I've found is I put it in as a sentence to use it, like even if I'm just translating that one word, but if I put it in a sentence that would use it in the correct way, like this is the trough of a wavelength kind of thing, then I can see how it translates, because it doesn't always give me the correct one-to-one word, because, or if I even give a phrase, then it's not always correct, and it varies. So I've gotten where I will reverse it sometimes and put it in to see how it translates back to me, and that helps sometimes.
That helps.
And that is good practice. If you guys don't know me, I'm Leanne Guthrie, and I'm the ESOL coach for the county now. So thank you for doing this, because
Absolutely.
I didn't know about a couple of those. And also thank you, all of you, Mr. Stinson, because this school is so caring and concerned about helping the ESOL population. So I really appreciate that. I don't ever worry about this school because, and Esther's done such a phenomenal job. So, but I will say, like deep L, and then reversing it like that, and it's going to be like, strangely worded in English, so it's a little strangely worded in Spanish, but they will get the understanding. And the OCR requirements are that we present it in a language of their first language. And if you're trying your best to communicate that way, then that will check that box and you're doing your best. We do have interpreters available for any official meetings. If a student, that you need to make sure. And Mr. Simpson, the office has a list of those interpreters as well, but just in your instruction, using any of these is great. Sometimes you don't know what they say, but I will say that, thank you, Shannon, because she put it, we have a Google Classroom for the newcomer teachers. And she put out those earbuds in several schools, several people, and especially family engagement coordinators have bought them. So when the parents come, that they can communicate with them, and they say they're working, better than like using the phone back and forth. So that is awesome. The Hey Jen, which is frightening, but I just learned about that as well. But I know that a principal has used it and to send out a message to a student's family. So she wanted her face and all that, so she used it. And I thought that was a good thing to use if you want your face. But be careful, because you don't know what it's saying, and your face is there, and it's kind of weird that it's talking for you. But that was, and I haven't heard of Doodlebox, so I look forward to trying that out. But thank you for doing all of that.
Absolutely.
There's one thing too that Leanne did, and I don't know if it's on the Google Classroom yet. It's the lesson you did about the impact of visuals and body language. It's really, really good, especially when we remember that our newcomers are not always Spanish speaking. We have a huge Central European population here, a lot of Bosnian and Serbians, and we had an Indian student here previously. But if that's not available yet, I will get with Leanne and make sure that we make that, because it's really, just that, there are a lot of powerful things that you can do that don't take any extra work at all, that are just your manner and your body language. That she presents this lesson in another language from the perspective of the student. The student obviously doesn't understand. Then she presents it again. This time we've added visuals, and the third time we've added body language. And by the third time, you can't understand a word of what she's saying, but you get what's going on. So it was very, very helpful.
Well, and also the goal is we want to be able to communicate with them, but we also want to help them learn English. So, and I've had asked in at another school, like, I'm translating everything into Spanish for that child. Am I not making enough accommodation for that child? And I was like, well, are you teaching your lesson in Spanish? Because they don't know the content words in Spanish if you're teaching it in English and then just giving them the test. So that's where I appreciate, I've talked to Shannon a lot and been up here, and she was like, well, they just don't get my lectures when I'm talking about the slides, they're in Spanish and English for them, but they're not getting that. So she decided to try, and I'm so happy that that is working, because that is, if they aren't, and if they can't read in Spanish, which is also the case, they might understand it, but they can't read in it, then that is an extra way that they can get your content. But you guys are doing an amazing job, and I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. Piggybacking off what you said, I'm not going to take up your valuable time to show you, but when I send this out to you, there will be this link here to a YouTube video of what English sounds like to non-English speakers. And one of the things that I found really eye-opening is you can tell their emotion from their body language. And like a lot of our students do, while you're listening, every 8th or 10th word that they say, you'll pick up one word that you know. And so you're trying to, while you're watching the video, put together, what are these people arguing about? What are they fighting about? Because I only know 6 words in the last 2 minutes. But I can tell they're fighting. I can tell they're upset. but I don't have the vocabulary yet to know why. So it's only about a 4-minute video, but it's definitely worth watching. All right, anybody else, any other tools you'd like to share before we wrap up? Awesome. One quick thing I want to share with you before we go, since we're all in here in one place, it's a good time to mention this. Because I've talked to a few of you one-on-one that's had frustration with this. How many of you have ever tried to get on Netflix or Hulu or Disney or Amazon or whatever in your class, and it will only come up a black screen with, you can hear the audio but you can't hear the words? It's because of one setting on your computer. And so since we're here, it's being recorded, I'll go ahead and show you real quick. Hallelujah. All right. All you have to do is click on Chrome, go down to your settings, go down to where it says System. You're going to see this very top option says Use Graphics Acceleration when available. When that is on, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus, that gets into their DSMR, their legal stuff that says, whoa, you're not supposed to be broadcasting this onto another screen. But if you simply turn that off and then relaunch, Netflix, Disney Plus, all of them are like, you're cool now.
You have to do it every time?
Well, I mean, it'll stay off until you turn it back on. It natively is on. Sometimes you'll go to a website and it says your WebGL needs to be disabled or your web acceleration needs to be turned off. They're all this exact same thing. And so if you've ever tried to use Netflix or Disney Plus or something and you were like going to flip a table or throw a kid off a cliff because they're like, why isn't the video working? Why isn't it? I'm trying to figure it out. This is why, okay? So settings, system, and then just turn off Use Graphics Acceleration when available, and the black screen of death and chaos will go away.
You should just hardwire it instead.
Sometimes it still won't do it, even if you're hardwired.